Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Eastchester Architectural Review Board meeting for March 2nd, 2023. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Margaret, if you would, please, the roll call.
Okay, Carlos Garcia Bo.
Yep.
Enda McIntyre.
Here.
Laura Raffiani.
Here.
Jennifer Nemisek.
Here.
And Silvio Luca.
Here.
Very good. And
Laura, if you could, yeah, okay.
approve the minutes for, so our first order of business is to approve the minutes from February 2nd, 2023. I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And our first item on the agenda.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Laura,
I'm sorry.
could you please, for the record, we need to indicate what items have been adjourned?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem. So this evening, the adjourned items are application 23-03 Sephora at 670 White Plains Road, and application 22-49 for 120 Lakeshore Drive. So those will go on to next month's
Which is the April 4th, 2023 meeting.
So if you're here for that, there's not too much we can help you with. Alrighty. Back to the old business first, which is application 22-47 for 5 Ray Place. And I'd like to make a motion, well,
No,
we'll
we just hear
continue
the-
the public hearing later, sorry.
Hi. Hello, Board. Margaret, thank you for having us again here today. It's been a couple of months since we came back, and we know that there were a lot of comments about our previous application, so we made some revisions, and we're hopeful that, that you'll find these revisions acceptable. So first, we want to talk about
Jaime, did you identify yourself? I didn't hear that.
Jaime Martinez.
Okay,
I'm
thank you.
planner and rep for the owner. We also have the architect here, John Anastasio, as well as the owner, John Saracino. So when we last came, we had proposed an asphalt shingle that looked a little bit like slate. During the discussion about this, we were asked to consider some sort of synthetic slate. Upon sort of reviewing that, we were able to find a different product that's an actual natural slate material. It's cost comparable to synthetic slate, looks a lot better, holds up better, it's better over time. So we're going to bring that up to you so you can take a look at it. This is called the Ready Slate. It's made by Coupa Pizzara, which is the biggest slate company in the world, at least according to their website. You know, it's slate. It's real slate. Looking at the old tiles, I think that they had a nice architectural form. They were metal. This is, in my mind, it's a superior product. It's a superior looking product. It's not a half measure. It's not a step down. It's not a, you know, Lamborghini to a Hyundai. This is a quality product. You get a chance to take a look at it, feel it, hold it in your hands. We want to make sure that we are providing as good of a product as possible. So this is that. This is an example of a slate roof. I probably don't need to show you that because I'm sure every one of you has passed a slate roof driving through Eastchester, but it's real slate. So it's a beautiful product. We think you're going to be happy with it.
And why do they say that it's lightweight? Is it some specific kind of slate that's a little lighter than the others?
So a little bit, yeah. So
General?
the difference in this from other kinds of slate. So normally you take the slate, you have to prepare the roof, you have to put the waterproof membrane, and then you go install them individually. So these slate tiles are a little thinner than a average single slate tile that you apply individually. It comes with the waterproof membrane attached. They come in modules similar to, how you install asphalt shingles. So the form allows it to be a bit of a cost savings in terms of labor. I think a little bit of cost savings in terms of product. And overall, it's still like 4 times as expensive as asphalt shingles. But it is cheaper than the metal tiles that we were looking at using. So it's a cost savings for us, and be quite honest, it's a superior product. It just looks better, so.
It seems quite nice in relation to the previously proposed, the asphalt, for sure.
Yeah, we do have the old approved tile. If I can, I'd like to sort of show you the difference between that in terms of the color as well, which I think also
It's actually
shows well.
a very similar color. This is the
Yeah.
metal that was proposed, which is
Okay.
this gray, has a little bit of a stippled texture to it. And if you notice the gray slate sample that was just passed around, it's the same color. It's a similar color, and that also has
Yeah.
a little bit of a texture. So aesthetic-wise, it would be very similar in terms of its appearance in the feel of the material itself.
Moving on, the next thing that when we came in last time, we had proposed a couple of different vents, and you asked us to consider some alternatives. So this is the approved elevation that we have up here. This is the proposed elevation that we had last time, which has little circles you can see. And so we kind of went through to kind of demonstrate the difference between, regardless of the vent size, and we're going to get to that, the new design of the vent size, but this helps demonstrate a little bit of the difference between the approved. You can see here there is, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but you can see the size of those bulkheads that we've removed and the difference in the new proposed elevation, how it shows that those bulkheads are gone. The size of the building overall from the top of the highest bulkhead is about 9 feet lower than the new proposed elevations. You can see the difference here. That was the approved south elevation. This is the proposed south elevation. That's the approved east elevation. That's the previously proposed east elevation. The originally approved north elevation. The previously proposed north elevation. And this is the alternative vent design. So one of the things that was mentioned to us was coming up with some sort of architectural design that would integrate more of a square, rectangular vent. You can see here it sort of proposes to do just that. It would be color matched exactly to match the color. It would come out as a square vent. There's some additional kind of architectural elements to hide it and obscure it a little bit. But there are no remaining protrusions. There are no circles, which were what you were concerned about last time. It retains the lower bulkhead, of course, but it has a different design element. I think it's a very elegant design. Our architect really worked very hard, and I'll let him speak for himself on this, but to try to come up with a design that worked within the framework of the actual HVAC units and something that responded to your comments. We also wanted to, I could go through these individually and we could come back to them, but I wanted to show you, these are, really quickly, these are some changes here. This is the original, previously approved roof plan. This is the new roof plan, so we've pretty much removed everything from the roof that allows the elevation to be smaller. These are the different types of louvers that they have, so I wanted to give you a chance to take a look at that and see the proposal that we had originally was the ones on the left, but they do have these other kinds of louvers. Some of their sort of inset louvers, some of them have louvers that kind of sit on the front, integrate with the face. And these are some examples of louvers, the circular louvers and how they've been used in other places. So this is the Whittlebury Hall Hotel, which is, I think, in the UK. You can see how the vents themselves are exactly the same color as the brick. They are unobtrusive. Whether they're square or circular, we would be color matching similar to that. This is, yeah.
1 second.
Yeah.
just want to point out where the vents exist in this drawing, because it may be hard for you to kind of see it from there, because it blends in. If you look at the image on the right, and follow the bottom of the window, and just follow it all the way to the right, you'll see the two circles that are there. And like Jaime just pointed out, wherever the circular vents would be in our proposed design, it would blend in with the adjacent color. So when it's in the brick, it'll match the color of the brick. When it's in the roofing, it'll be the color of the roofing, and when it's in the AZAC, which is in certain parts of the building, it'll match the right color of the AZAC.
So this is another example, the Coliseum, which is a building that I'm sure a couple of you have probably heard about before, but they did have to build rooms over time, and they were able to successfully use this system and color match it to the design for the Coliseum. There is another hotel in Switzerland, Rio Garni. They did the same thing. They essentially added the circular vents, and they were able to color match it. So we think that whatever the decision of the board, whether you would prefer the square vents with the additional architectural detail or the circular vents, we think they'd both be elegant and suitable for our purposes. So looking for feedback on that and trying to understand what your thoughts are.
Right now, you're showing both, right? Rectangular as well as circular?
We are showing both. We can do either, but we know that the board had requested to see this alternative with the vents more squared off, and so we designed it that way. If that's your preference, then of course that's what we'll do.
Last time that we were here.
Excuse me, John?
If you are speaking, you need to speak into a mic. So
Yeah.
is this one working?
I don't know, or you can just go step back to
Just-
that mic. That's
yeah.
required for our stenographer, so we
And
need
for
you
the
to be
people
speaking
that
in
are
the mic.
viewing at home, they can't hear you if you're not mic'd.
Can I just bring this to him?
Yeah, sure. you
Sure,
can move it
sure.
around. But just, anyone that speaks is required to speak into the mic, otherwise it doesn't get picked up on the transcripts. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Anastasio. I'm from Warsaw Architects. And I'd also like to point out that I have my students here from Westchester Community College, because I'm also a professor. And what we're doing here tonight in front of an architectural review board is part of the curriculum that we covered in the beginning of the semester. So I just wanted to give them the opportunity to see what public service is all about. So getting back to this, when we were here previously, we presented the circular vent design, and at that meeting, we were asked to go back and see what other options there are. This unit is installed right at the inside face of the exterior wall, and the unit is made to just do a direct connection through to the exterior wall. So the options are either the circular vents that we initially presented last time that we were here, or they also have, as Jaime showed up on the screen, the rectangular vent that has it actually has the two circular vents behind it. It's just that it's covered by a horizontal vent. And that vent is about 10 by maybe 16 inches long or thereabouts. And the circles are about 9 inches in diameter.
And can we see maybe a close-up on your rendering, your most recent rendering with the rectangular ones? Something that shows that. Or maybe on the board here, you can point it out, which page this, on the
easel right now is what was previously approved, which are the circular vents.
Okay,
And again, when we were designing their location, we tried to do them as inconspicuously as possible. And depending on the layout of where the bedrooms and where the living rooms are, we tried to locate them as much as possible not to face on 5-ray. So the corner units, if we had the option, we put it on the opposite elevation, so this way it's less obtrusive to 5-ray.
Okay.
So that's like 10 by 16?
Plus or minus, it might be a little bit longer. You know, each of those windows are probably closer to like 30 inches, so it's probably longer, 30, 36 inches. But again, behind that are the two circles. So what we did in the first concept that we presented here last time, you know, we put them above the windows. Again, we favored the other elevations to have less of them on 5-ray. With the rectangular option, and that's a great image right there up on the screen, the windows on the left, the existing design, you know, had the windows kind of stacked vertically within the AZAC panel to give it like, that's the way the design was originally. What we did on the image on the right with the windows, where in the previously submitted scheme we had the two circles, we introduced AZAC above those windows where it currently was not before, and we put the louver there. So that's a little bit of a way that we try to incorporate the rectangular element in keeping with the AZAC theme of the windows that are right next to it. Either way would work. In my personal opinion, I would go with what's simpler because it calls less attention to it. So if the concern was to be as inconspicuous as possible, I would just go with the two circular vents, because in my opinion, what this is doing, it's almost drawing a little bit more attention to it by highlighting it.
But I guess whatever application it sits on, it's going to blend in with whatever the background is.
Color-wise.
100% our intent. So those louvers, we can make them whatever color would most likely blend with the adjacent material. So in the white AZAC, they're going to be white. In the brick, it's going to match the brick color, which happens to be white, but has a little bit of a salt and
different
pepper
white.
look a little bit.
Are there any other points, because I wasn't present for that meeting, are there any other points that were made by the board that you addressed, or is this pretty much it, this and the roof?
There was one other major point, that was the grills in front of the window.
Yeah.
You know, we are still proposing to not put in those grills.
You mean the railings?
Apologies, railings.
Yes, okay.
We're still proposing to not put in those railings. But we're open to some perspective from the board. I don't think that we do not want to add all of those railings back. There are quite a few of them. But we're open to hearing what the board has to say about that. And we'd like to be able to walk away today and move on to the planning board. So,
Can you show the elevation that shows the railings?
yes. If you just give me a moment, I'm going to try to turn off this double screen situation. It is making it hard to do this. This is the original east elevation. If I can, I'm going to pull up the west elevation, which is the one from Ray Place.
Primarily on the first design, they were on the front elevation.
So you can see there in that middle tower and the top floor.
They were there for an aesthetic purpose, not a safety purpose or anything like that, right?
Correct?
I would personally just like to offer my opinion of that again. I know we're eliminating railings, but as you see here, they're covering up the windows. The intent was to give it an appearance as if it was a balcony. They are not balconies, and upon reflection, if it's compared to what we're proposing now, again, in my opinion, it's a much cleaner look without the railings. There's also another aspect of the railings that becomes slightly problematic. It has to do a little bit with, the 4-inch sphere rule that I'm sure everyone's heard. For those to get installed, they would end up being a little bit, probably more than 4 inches away from the line of the building. And there was a concern that we're inadvertently creating kind of like a safety issue if we have that there and it's not a real balcony. So when we were looking at it and we came back, we said, you know what, why don't we also eliminate the railings? And again, in my aesthetic judgment, they're sitting right in front of windows. You get to see the full window. And the windows we chose are very, very aesthetic windows. So I don't think there's any loss in aesthetic in that regard, in my opinion.
And board members, how are you feeling on that point particularly about the railings? Are you happy to see them go? Not so happy? What's the consensus?
I think it gives more of a sort of elegant, kind of richer feeling with the railings, myself personally. I do believe that was the opinion of some of the members on this board the last time. I do hear what you're saying in terms of the reasoning that you're now looking to take them out. But as the design architect, I would assume that you put them in initially for a reason.
Well, on other projects, what we typically do is we have like French doors that open inward, and we project the slab out a little bit so that the railing is kind of sitting on a slab edge.
Right, I understand.
Here, it wasn't doing that. It was just sitting out in space. It was originally proposed. I can't say it wasn't originally proposed,
Right.
obviously, but again, upon reflection, if I had to do this over again, I don't think I would have proposed it to begin with. Again, in my aesthetic opinion.
What was the material on the railings?
What was the material of the railing? Metal.
What?
It was probably aluminum. It had to be lightweight because it's just hanging off the building. Please.
Good evening. John Saraceno with the development team. It's been a really long time since we were here, but originally when we came, all of the windows had the railing. And when we're going through the review process, we actually wanted to eliminate all the railings back then, and we had agreed to do this along the top and then along the front.
The
And
modification.
we actually finished a project up in Peekskill back in October with this railing, a similar system with the door without the slab, where we had to retrofit kind of like a bar in there to kind of prevent people from coming down or stepping on it and thinking it's a railing, and because it has no support or is not really stable at all, certainly not for weight. So that's really the concern here.
So the windows are operable? Like what's the design of those windows up in the mansard roofs?
They're double hung. Hold on a second. They look like double hungs, but I believe they're actually cased.
Casement?
Yeah.
How are they gonna if they're casements, how are they gonna open a rail?
They look one way, but they operate the other way.
No, but if they're casements, they're gonna be swinging out, so they're gonna hit the
The
rail.
top parts are casement, and I believe the bottom part
Was fixed.
is fixed.
With the railing.
That's what we're indicating.
Oh, okay.
Well, there are mullions in there to make it look as if it's a double hung.
John,
I don't know if anyone heard that.
Do you want to open it up to the public hearing?
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to reopen application 22-47 for a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone here from the audience that would like to get up and ask some questions, make some comments regarding this application? Please come to the mic and use the mic and give us your name and address.
Charles Galenic, Potter Place. I have several questions. On the material for the roof, what type of warranty came with the original material, both for the material itself and labor? That's one
Mr.
question.
Gallen, before, you know what, maybe you could ask all your questions, and then the applicant can go to the mic and answer them all at once. I think that would be more
Okay.
efficient.
Happy to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And then I would like to know, on the new product that you have, the slate product, what is the warranty, both on the material and then also on its labor? Next would be the reeling. When this was going on, it was suggested by the board to put a little pizzazz to your building, because we all had mentioned before, looking from White Plains Road at this building going up, it stands by itself. It's not going to get hidden by any trees. It's not getting buried into some mountainside. It's up. And it was suggested by the board to put railings on one side to at least put something to it. Next question. Did we at one time have central air conditioning and heating in this building? And if so, why has it gone to individual units? It seems that's, if I understand that, that's what it's doing. And then the other thing would be, we talk about a picture of the Coliseum. The Coliseum is still standing. I wonder how long your building's going to stand to the Coliseum. Thank you for your time.
333
Okay.
Thank you very much for your thoughtful questions. I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Okay. Regarding warranty period on roofing, standard industry warranty is typically 20 years. I suspect, I would have to research this and get back to you, but I suspect on a natural material like slate, at least what, just out of coincidence, what I teach in my class, because slate is a natural material, it has a more long-lasting value. But I would have to validate that. But as an industry standard, when we ask for warranties, usually it's a 20-year period. That's fairly common. Regarding the appearance from White Plains Road, this building is set back a little bit because there's a CVS in the foreground. And again, I would like to suggest that from an aesthetic point of view, the building design is elegant. It's not like it's standing out and it's just a plain box. I think to the owner's credit, they put a lot of effort into making this an aesthetic design. The railings that we had were actually on the 5-ray place, not on the other elevation. So from White Plains Road, railings wouldn't, lack of a better way of saying it right now, it wouldn't make a difference, again, in my opinion. Lastly, with regard to the Coliseum, the vents were not on the face of the Coliseum, but if that image was put back up, it was all set back. It was like on a wall set back from the actual exterior colonnade of the circular design of the Coliseum. I'd like to say, I wish I could be here in another 50 or 100 years and come back and say that our building is built strongly, and it is because we're using building common practice. All other buildings are built the same way. It's not like this building was constructed in any way that makes it, no corners were cut. In fact, again, to the developer's credit, they put effort into it to make it a long-lasting product. We have brick on the exterior, we have brick down at the bottom base of the building, we have slate for a roof. Those are long-lasting quality materials. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
I can't, that was a great response, and I can't really add too much to that. The only thing I will say is that in speaking to the representative for the manufacturer, they felt that this slate material would hold up just as well as any slate material. And so, a lot of people will say that slate is the last roof that you'll ever have to put in your house. It can last 100 years. It's real slate, so unlike asphalt shingles where you might start losing components off of it over time, or metal that could corrode, slate doesn't do any of those things. It's not going to deteriorate. It's natural stone, it's sustainable, it's meant to last a lifetime. So the warranty, I think, was 50 years on the material, and the labor is something that's provided by whoever the contractor is that we get. At that time, we obviously don't have a contractor selected since we don't even have the approvals yet.
I think the slate is a big improvement. Yes. My opinion, I like the rectangular vents. And I'm sorry.
I was going to just say, you want to make sure you continue with the public hearing
Yeah.
if there's anyone else.
Oh, yeah. Is there anyone else, I'm sorry, that, please come and address us. Thank you, Margaret.
Good evening. I'm Michael Fastiglione, 43 Woodruff Avenue. A number of questions. Firstly, I wanted to clarify the comment that was made about the additional height that would be removed. Would that be a 9-foot lowering of the overall height? So to me, that's a positive move. The lower that building becomes, the better it is. One of our biggest problems was that from Route 22, the building would appear to be something like an 8-story building. So now we're down to 7, so we're closer. The next question I have is concerning the recommendation to put electric cable and telephone wires overground. Does that mean that we'll have to add telephone poles, or will there be cable lines? How will those wires be attached to the building? And the final question I have is, the construction of the slate, the mansard slate, will it be put on some sort of a grid and then placed in 12-foot pieces, or how will it be installed? It's certainly not going to be single individual pieces of slate. Will it be a grid of some sort that will be placed, and will the trim work on the grid match the slate? Those are my questions. Thank you.
And Jaime, if it's okay, I'm going to answer the first two, if that's okay. Just to clarify, because I had to email the applicant to kind of clarify about the height of the building as well. So they are removing 2 stair bulkheads that are 11 feet tall. So those 11 feet high elements that are on top of the roof will be eliminated. And then the elevator bulkhead has been reduced from 14 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 6 inches. So you won't see those 3 big bulkheads any longer. And then with regard to the utilities, they are showing some telephone poles on the 5 Ray Place side of the street with utility lines. That is not something that the Architectural Review Board is reviewing. That's something that the Planning Board is reviewing. So when this gets referred to the Planning Board, they'll be looking at that very seriously, because the question is whether they were approved to have underground utilities, and they're now proposing the overhead wires, but that's before the Planning Board, not this board.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is that there's no proposal to run wires from the street to the building, to the side of the building. So any wires that'll be on our property will be underground. The site plan question is to be determined by as is mentioned, determined by the planning board. But no, there won't be wires, hanging and attached to the side of the building. The other question, I apologize, was about the
It's about this.
slate. Yeah, the slate is, the way that it works, because it's like stone, it has two little holes in it, and you have to attach every single shingle. So they come in a module, which is this waterproof membrane that has, I think, 6 or 8 pieces together, and they're sort of connected in that way. But each individual slate tile, just like if they were
That
the
may help
old-fashioned way,
understand.
still has to be hammered in 2 different places. The way it was explained to us is that primarily the weight load is held by each individual slate. So you still have to hammer them in. They're heavier than an asphalt thing where you just sort of take the row. And so in that sense, they're the same. You can see here, even in the material, it has the 2 holes. They all have to get hammered in and attached. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I honestly, I think that you're going to see this everywhere nowadays. I think this product's going to become extremely popular, but there's videos online to show you how to install it. It's a fantastic product.
Is anyone else?
Is there anyone else? Please.
Good evening. Frank Sweeney, 22 Lakeview Avenue. Last time we were here, we had, at least I understood it, to be 18 units for the, and in the current suggestion of the letter of 22nd, February 22nd, it says 21 units. What are we dealing with, 21 or 18?
Yeah, so.
So this is
20
incorrect then.
What is it that you're referring to? The February 22nd letter
Yes.
that the applicant prepared?
Yes.
Well, so what was approved, and I'll have to look through this letter again, but the planning board approved 21 units. When the applicant did, final design drawings for the units, they reduced it to 18, which is pretty common in some of the multifamily proposals. And I think at the last meeting, 40 Jackson Avenue was approved at 117, but they constructed 115. So they are constructing 108, proposing 18 units now.
So this should really say 18?
Well, I have to read of whether they were saying what was originally approved or what they're proposing now. They are now proposing 18, so yes, that's what that
Okay,
should say.
that's fair. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the audience? Any
Mr.
questions regarding the application? Is there something else that you wanted to? I'm sorry?
I think I asked the question about how it's going to be heated. Was it originally by central air conditioning and heating? That was one of the questions I asked. And the second reason why I asked about the product and longevity of like the roofing, and also about individual heating. The poor folks that are going to buy these products, the apartments here, they're now going to be, if it was originally that they were going to have one central air conditioned unit in a building, or multiple, but run by the building, not by each individual apartment. Now, when you put them in individual apartments, the poor folks that buy these apartments, maybe they don't realize, but that's going to be their responsibility. Any problem with that, that's theirs. Now, if the roof goes, or anything else goes, it's the folks that are the owners of that building are going to have to pay for any type of replacements. And also, talking about the height and the picture of this building, I'd like to see a slide, since we've been down this road for many years, I'd like to see a slide that we saw showing the building from White Plains Road, to see how this looks from White Plains Road. There's nothing blocking it. So when this building goes up, it's going to be a phoenix by itself. and any type of architectural design to make it look a little aesthetically better, I think would be a great move on the board. And I would also think that the architect and owners would be nice if they would show you these circle vents and the long vents. Actually, they're telling you about them. They're saying, well, you know, it could be 12 inches, 15 inches, whatever. Be nice if they brought them into you to show you what the material's gonna look like, what the color's gonna look like, so that you see it and the rest of us townspeople see it. Thank you.
So, to clarify, these are rental units, and if the AC goes out in a rental unit, then we're obligated to fix it. If a central air unit on the roof goes out, then that entire unit needs to be replaced. If one of these EPOCA units goes out, we'll be able to have one on hand to swap out whatever's needed, so it's better for a maintenance standpoint, but we're obviously obligated. These are luxury apartments. You know, they expect to have their heat and cold air working, so.
And they
we'll
are
certainly-
apartments, not condos, or they're not for sale, they're for rent?
They're for rent.
Okay.
So that issues doesn't change. We've done a rendering in the past also. This building looks exactly the same from White Plains Road, except we're proposing it without the railings, so. And the bulkheads, yeah.
What I'd respectfully like to point out is that in the prior design and the prior thinking regarding the mechanical is that each unit always had its own heat pump. It's not something that we just introduced now. In the prior design, what the combination was that we had a heat pump in each unit, and with that, there was a condenser unit on the roof. With the system that we're going to now, what we've eliminated is the condensers on the roof. Many of them, if I may add, easily about a dozen of them that we've eliminated, which also enabled us to take out one of the stair bulkheads, thus making it less visually high, especially from White Plains Road, because that's the stair bulkhead that we eliminated. So the prior design was already approved with that taller bulkhead in place. What we're proposing here is eliminating that. So I believe that we've enhanced the aesthetic of the building in response to the gentleman's question regarding aesthetics from White Plains Road, because we've eliminated that bulkhead. Regarding the mechanical system, every unit was always to be operational independent. You know, every unit was on its own. But what we've done here is eliminated condensers from the roof.
And it's operational on its own, independent, so that each one can control their own environment?
Yeah, so some of the units are gonna have, I think, either two or three different individual EPOCA units. So obviously if one goes down, then you need to replace it. They're all the same type of unit, so we'll be able to have one readily available to swap out if we need to. It's kind of like a hotel. You go to a hotel, you know, your heat goes out, they swap it out and bring in a new one. So it works really well that way. But I just sort of as a kind of anecdotal experience, our office is in Pleasantville. We've got a new building going up right now, right by the train station. I don't know if any of you have ever been to downtown Pleasantville. It's a lovely new building, somewhat modern looking. But as you're riding up the street, the most noticeable thing is in this sort of dark red brick building with, you know, black paneling and glass are these tan carrier condensing units that you can see right from the top. They're not good looking. They're a part of that building because that's how they designed it. You're not going to see that, as John mentioned. Those condensing units are not going to be there, so you're not going to see that. You're going to see the top of the roof, and essentially that'll be it. So it should look a lot better than it did previously.
Okay. Any questions? Did you have a comment
Yeah.
about the railing?
Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I have, are we done with the?
Yeah, does anyone
Yeah.
else, just make sure
Is there
you've got
anybody
all
else in the audience that would like to speak?
comments. We just have to keep remembering to continue with the public hearing until they're done.
Hi, Bill Fioravanti, 24 Ray Place. Hi, Margaret. Real quick, I know we've been on this project for about 3.5 years, approximately, correct? Long time. So it's been a long road. You guys have built a great, design. It's a great building. But the reason why I see why we're here again at the ARB is because you guys approved of a building with certain parameters, the railings, the air conditioning systems, the size of the building. First of all, it's still 9 feet above zoning height in Eastchester to begin with anyway. So because, COVID has exacerbated the costs, whoever, in the cost-benefit analysis, when you're building a building, whether it's here in the city, looks like you guys had a different cost-benefit analysis because now, whatever you're building now is going to be double the cost. So all I see here today is these guys trying to reduce the costs of their building because they can't get, they're seeing this plan going on way too long. So let me ask you guys approved of a building a certain way with the railings, the certain type of air conditioner systems. I mean, is this acceptable to allow this to happen with, in 6 months, are they going to come back again? We took them, we had a lawsuit, we have an appeal. Are they going to come back 6 months again and try to change things in a less costly manner as well? And also, I was going to say, because Sean's not here tonight, and the gentleman here said, it is a rental building, it looks like a hotel, and Sean keeps saying this building looks like something out of Orlando. I mean, it's a beautiful building, but it doesn't fit in this area. I mean, like I said, I go down Garth Road, every building looks red, this is white. I could go to other areas as well as the same as well. I mean, White Plains and New Rochelle, are cities, it's a little bit different. So I'll let you guys answer. Thank you, guys.
I think, as you said before, that the cost of things have gone up. I mean, it's a lot, substantially,
course.
in the past few years, and that's kind of unforeseeable, that kind of increases, those kinds of increases in all the building materials, labor, everything. But what we're here tonight, I think, trying to resolve the fact that they're changing the AC, and that just created these louvers. Honestly, I think the building as a whole, what he was trying to explain before, was that the AC stuff on the roof, which was making it a bigger building or bigger, more imposing stuff going on up there, has been reduced. So this, in my eyes, although we have to kind of come up to the best solution of addressing that one particular point of where the louvers are and whether they're circular or rectangular, I think the general gist of that issue is that it's an improvement. It's all over on the building that does improve it. But you can't hold it against them that they're trying their very best to get this going along the way. And us kind of going back and forth doesn't help them either. So it's a kind of a catch-22 situation in terms of that. I don't know what else. I think throughout the meeting tonight, a lot of the comments were about how imposing it appears from Route 22. And I'm not sure if at any time there was a perspective, kind of like a SketchUp?
There was, yeah.
Okay.
There it was.
All right.
Yeah, the animation,
Yes,
that was really,
yeah.
it was good animation.
Because that perspective, when it is that far back off of 22, it really does, even though it is X amount of stories, it's not X amount of stories at the street, it's X amount of stories at that far distance. So it will appear a lot smaller, and also looking over CVS, if you're on the ground, you're going to miss half the building by looking at it. So I know it seems like it's going to be way up there and completely visible, but it's not.
But,
It
and
really
can
isn't.
I just, and we kind of addressed this last month as
Okay.
well. So First of all, it's very common for applicants to come back for amended site plan or architectural review approval. You know, and whether it's because of cost or because of aesthetics or because clients change their mind about things or safety issues, you know, people could argue that they prefer a natural slate roof to a metal roof, so that's not necessarily a downgrade. I think that the proposed air conditioning solution and heating solution is it's more energy efficient, and it'll definitely be less imposing in terms of what you can see on the roof. The board right now is really only evaluating 3 things: the roof, the railings, and the louvers. That's it. Everything else has been approved, everything, you know, so we're down to those 3 things, and I'm not sure how comfortable, after the public hearing, the board will let everyone know how comfortable they are with the slate roof, whether they prefer the circular or the rectangular louvers, and then we're down to the railings. But with regard to the views from White Plains Road, from the color of the brick, that, for better or for worse, has already been approved. So you're just looking at those 3 things.
Yeah, and I do have that original rendering from White Plains Road on the computer,
Okay.
if you want to show it.
Okay.
You know, this is the biggest change, obviously, from here is that bulkhead you can currently see under the current approval. That's going to be gone. So you can see that it's actually lower on that end. So again, you know, what this rendering doesn't show is how those condensing units would have looked up there. They're not going to be there. So they may have been visible before. I can't really attest to that. I don't believe that the previous rendering really did much consideration of that, of how those HVAC units would have looked, or whether they would have been visible. But certainly that bulkhead is no longer there. And of course, the slate material, which you have in your hands, is going to be different. So the original rendering, I think, was done with a lighter color than what was approved at the end. But essentially, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
One more from the, okay, yeah.
Pat Gabriel, 24 Ray Place. So that picture that was just shown there, you don't think that that building is very imposing from the Route 22?
From Route 22,
That's the picture that you just saw. You don't think that building looks very high compared to where CVS and stuff?
in my opinion,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, no,
No.
I don't.
Okay, so I was curious what
Okay.
everybody thought. To me, it looked very imposing.
Okay. All righty. Anyone else? Okay. All righty. So,
Make a
board
motion.
members, do we have?
Thank you. I want to make a motion to
Close
close
it.
the public hearing.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for application, I'm sorry.
2247.
2247.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'm not sure if we all, Silvio, did you speak about the railings? I'm not sure if there was something.
My opinion?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
My opinion, the roof is a great improvement. The only thing I would ask about the roof is the hips, how the hips and the caps are, what is that material, what's the detail? Secondly, I prefer the rectangular vents than the round ones. And I also prefer not adding the AZAC over those certain windows to add a vent. I think having the vent in the brick, like you originally had, but rectangular would be nicer. And I do still like the railings. That's my opinion.
I didn't hear the very last piece.
I still like the railings. I prefer the railings on the building.
Jennifer, do you want to summarize you?
I agree with, we've been kind of discussing it, but I agree that the railings really make the facade. It's a beautiful shape of building. The mansard roof really needs that railing. Otherwise, it seems a little flat. And I especially like them on the roof line. If you're going to remove them from the center panel where the entrance is, I understand it, but I like it on that roof where you have the half windows. And I think the slate roof is a great improvement, but I was discussing what kind of trim you're going to use for that roof.
Yeah, I guess you do reference.
Was there anything-
Note 12, metal coping, charcoal gray, but I guess the hips and the valleys, is that going to be the same? Is it going to be copper?
So we didn't get into the details on that. I don't know. We would probably look to do whatever's going to last as long as the roof is expected to last, so it's most likely going to be something nice. The flashing, I guess, would it be a copper flashing or the aluminum flashing doesn't tend to stay up. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's,
how you handle
Can the
the,
architect come up here and answer this question? Because
okay, also, I did
He's better
hand out
suited to
my copy of the roofing
Here.
cut sheet, if you could just.
It's okay.
Okay.
Not
I don't know
exactly
if there was
sure
anything in there.
no.
the location of the flashings in question.
Well, all the hips.
Yeah,
The slate
where
can't
they
meet
meet.
like this, right?
Where are you talking about? On the roof?
Yeah, the roof. Wherever slate meets slate, right? All the hips and all the caps, there must be something there.
Yeah, like the hips and the valleys?
Okay, so typically, the slate's gonna go up. At the cap of the mansard, there's a metal coping, and we're probably gonna pick a color that blends with the slate. So it's probably gonna be, I suspect, perhaps aluminum or some kind of color that just gets a baked enamel finish on it from the manufacturer. On the roof side, the roof membrane comes up, it comes up the mansard, it folds over, and then the coping metal goes on top.
And then the hip, on every hip, basically, is gonna be a piece of painted
That we
aluminum.
would have to look at, the manufacturer's details, because I'm sure they have typical outside corners, inside corners, and returns. So whatever, with that, the roofing material, it's all-in system warranty, so we wouldn't be deviating from what maintains the warranty on their product.
Right.
We have to have some sort of finishing pieces for that.
Yeah.
That probably, that's typically what happens.
So,
Might be a manufactured piece like that.
item by item from the board, would we say that the louver should be the rectangles?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so that's one item.
is that rectangle with the additional architectural ornamentation, or just rectangles in place of the circles?
I think that Silvio's, without it, was a better choice. I think it's simpler without
So
it.
without the AZAC?
Without
just
the,
set in
without
set
the
in
extra
building.
AZAC.
Okay.
I think you want to, I think as your colleagues mentioned, you want to try and make the, the penetrations, the louvers, the grills disappear into the background as much as you can. So I think if you, try and make that happen with different types of application other than the primary background, I just think that that's
Okay.
maybe complicating it more than you need it to be, so.
But I just want to clarify, because I think last month Sylvia was recommending something that was the entire length of the
Yeah.
window, but now you're saying just the rectangular vent or louver just set in the building.
Well, that's when,
Central
I
to
think,
the
I think we
Central,
didn't have the
yes.
option of looking at the rectangular ones.
No, I know, so I just wanted to
last
clarify,
time.
though. Yes, okay.
And again, the cut sheet that you sent out where, it specifically showed, the various applications of how it would get plastered in, if it's in the stucco or in the brick, or in the trim. I think you, as would we, would be looking for that level of detail so that it blends into the background.
As best as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's color match, so they don't, it's not a like, we'll choose the white ones or the tan ones or so on. I think you can actually
Yeah.
give them color configurations for them to bake it on. So you tell them what color you want, which is good because it's a lot more open than just sort of off-the-shelf options.
And I would agree with, my colleagues. I certainly think the railings, I'm never a huge fan of, putting something in that, might not necessarily be used, but I certainly think that, you know, the appearance of the railings, certainly in the mansard and the sort of primary elements, they gives the building more of a sort of richer, more elegant, luxurious kind of a feel to it. And I think that's what you're hearing from, you know, certainly this side of the dais. I don't know, what do you think, Carlos?
I'm concerned about the railing and safety.
Yes.
Because I feel that if you put a railing, to me, my opinion is that it's going to cause more a safety issue for the tenants. They might think that they can use that as a, you know, they say railing, a kid can open a window, or somebody think that it's going to.
But I think the windows are fixed
Just-
where
you
the
have
railing is, right?
limits on the window?
The lower piece of window is fixed where the railing is, so it's really, you're opening only above it?
I believe the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong, the windows without the railings are all operational. The windows with the railings are fixed. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's hard to see in this image, but the way that the window's designed, it looks like it's a double hung, but operationally, the bottom half is fixed,
Oh, okay.
and the upper half acts like a casement window.
Okay.
The railings where they were before, it lines up primarily with where the fixed panel portion of the window would be.
Okay, so, safe,
So it's safe.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm just answering.
It's
your
safe. I mean,
Okay.
it's also,
Yeah, I mean, the other windows, they're actually real double-hung windows, and you can open the lower portion, and,
question. No, that's an accurate
Okay.
statement, what you just said, yeah.
Right.
okay,
It's fixed, the bottom part is fixed.
Okay.
okay. All righty, so then on the railings, we agree that they should remain, and on the, if at all, they would be eliminated from the center portion? Is that,
I
is
think
that
you need to
everything?
Yeah.
What Jennifer suggested, are you all okay with that? Just keeping it on the top?
If they can't do the center,
Why can't they do the
why
center?
would you not? Well,
Oh, well, I don't know. I
it
thought
would
that
look
was
nice with the center.
Accentuates the entranceway.
It would
Okay.
really look nice.
All right, never mind. Never mind on that part. So we would like you to keep the railings. And as far as the roof, we all agree, yes. We really do like the new slate that's proposed and are very happy with that.
100% better.
So with those comments,
So you're going to refer it to the planning board with a recommendation to approve the natural slate roof,
yes?
rectangular vents set in the natural background, but to keep the railings as previously proposed.
Correct. So, with those points in mind, I'd like to make a motion to send application 22-47 Ray, 5 Ray Place along to the planning board with the recommendation for approval with those options selected.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
Okay, next up on our agenda this evening is 22-34 Wooden Fire, located at 118 Brook Street. Please come up to the easel and grab the mic.
This one's just yeah. On the top. Yeah, it's aluminum, but it's, you know, I've never seen it before, yeah. Yeah.
Not sure.
Oh, really?
I'm definitely, you'll see me under any circumstances before then, I'm sure. Okay.
Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, how are you? Michael Ferrara, CEO of the Wood and Fire Group. Unfortunately, our architect had a family emergency, so I'm stepping in and doing it for him today.
Okay.
So we're going to do our absolute best.
Okay.
So we are proposing an aluminum motorized pergola over our existing patio for additional seating. We initially were planning to extend our second floor. That turned out that it wasn't going to work in our favor with the amount of seats required with more bathrooms. So this is the route that we decided to go on. We have two other restaurants in Pleasantville, New York, Wood and Fire and Southern Table. They both are using this existing pergola, approved and operational. It's not changing anything to our existing interior or exterior portions of the building. It's going to go right over our current patio. I can't connect to your computer, to the screen, but I do have renderings of what they look like. I don't know if I could show them to you.
I don't mean off of your computer, that would be difficult because we don't, if you put it on the easel, but like, something that's printed out, some blueprints, but otherwise, no.
Do you have an HDMI connection on there? Is
I
because we have a
don't.
oh, that's the reason,
Yeah,
okay.
if I had known I was doing this, I would have planned a little bit better.
This is,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Is it being enclosed, or just the top opens up and closes?
So it's motorized. Louvers on the top, hard plastic clear sides that go up and down. So it's going to extend our seating for the wintertime. We have an occupancy problem. We only have 55 seats inside. Knock on wood, we're busy, but come the wintertime, we lose that seating, which does affect us financially because we have limited seats. During COVID, the town was great. They made it easier to get a tent and put it up. Now that, COVID is going away, getting a tent, we have to go through the same process of what we're doing right here. So we're making the investments in all our stores to put these pergolas, it's a big investment, about $250,000, fully heated, electric heaters, mounted in the ceiling, fans, and again, the retractable sides. The louvers don't open, the roof doesn't open 100%. There's just louvers, so they go 180 degrees. So it also helps us when it rains. If rain's coming, bad weather in the summertime, we could shut the roof, roll the sides down, leave the sides up, and it extends our seating. It helps us financially.
And what color is the structure made of?
It's a charcoal aluminum, so it fits right in with our building. I don't know.
And the lighting is in the cross beams and the side beams?
It also has its own built-in gutter system. So, just to give you an idea of that's what it will look like with the sides up. With the sides down, they're clear, has a black trim around it just for a little decor. As you can see, the lights do go through the cross beams. In those cross beams as well are built-in gutter systems. Mm-hmm. So they'll be tied into our drains, and then coming down the down columns all around is where the spigots come out for the gutters. So it's well built. We're using it in our two stores right now in Pleasantville, fully functioning.
How long have
they've been going for? We're going into in Pleasantville. It's two Southern Table and Wood and Fire. Both got approved last November. They were operational by January for Super Bowl Sunday. I had a wedding in there, and completely functioning. So we're going on our second winter at the two stores in Pleasantville.
And The way it's laid out there with the greenery, is that greenery existing?
That's our existing, we're not changing anything with landscaping, parking, exterior design, interior design.
Maybe you have to touch, okay, yeah,
So those are our existing plans right now.
okay.
That's kind of the top view.
Okay.
But again, there'll be louvers, so you know, it's just opening just to give you that exact. That's with the sides open and the louvers open.
And so the gutters go right into the plants, right? I'm just joking.
No, the gutters will tie into our drainage system that we already currently have. So on those down columns, there's a spigot at the bottom. It is installed with a slight pitch for the water runoff. The louvers have a built-in J channel, which was a big thing for us. A concern was, in the summertime, it could be beautiful, and within 5 minutes, we got
Rain.
look at my radar, and the rain's coming, it pours, and then it's nice 2 minutes later. What do? When the roof is closed, the water's on top. When those louvers open, it has a built-in J channel, so that when they open, people aren't getting soaked. Because that's a big problem for us too in the summertime. A quick rainstorm out of nowhere, and people are running inside with their food and their plates, causes mass confusion in the restaurant.
Okay.
Okay.
This was approved by the zoning board at the end of '22 by all parties. That's
right.
pretty much it.
All right, so we get it. I'm just going to make a motion to open up application 22-34 to the public. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anybody here that would like to speak regarding this application? Now is your chance. Okay, that being the case, I would like to close the public hearing on application 22-34. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed on this application. So I really don't have any sort of issues on this. Actually, this is the second time we've seen this. Another proprietor in town.
Chow?
Yeah. is
Yeah, he got it.
proposing.
He's basing it off. You're going to see a lot of people that are actually basing it off of us. Mario Lasardi from Chat, and those are Scarsdale, but
Yeah.
we're the first one really in Westchester that has it.
Yeah.
And, we're good friends with Jeff from Chow. He came and took a look at it. It's the same company.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I've actually seen it recently. And it's a pretty cool application, and got to see it in the when it was raining also, so.
Yeah, Waikagill Country Club has it as well. We're the first restaurant in Westchester. We saw it from Waikagill Country Club. It really works great, other than the two coldest days of the year that we had, where it was 2 degrees on a Friday and Saturday a couple of weeks ago. We're fully, we're able to sit it fully in the wintertime,
Okay.
So it's a huge help for us financially.
And what's the span of, let's say the longest span that it can actually be put? Like right now you have 2 sections, right, going across the top? With a-
It's for Scarsdale, it's going to be 3 units put together, and then each column is no more than, from column to column, it shouldn't be more than 7 feet, I believe. That's the longest,
Right.
which
Spread?
was, yeah,
Okay,
because otherwise the sides then will become flimsy. It's on a track, we want it to be solid. That's what's keeping the cold weather out in the wintertime.
okay. Alrighty. Any other comments or questions, guys?
I'm good.
You have a nice deck back there, so this is going to be great.
Yes, and you're not going to see it from the street, from the views. It's only going to make things better, for the building aesthetically. It's changed the whole look of our 2 other restaurants.
Okay, so that being the case, I'd like to make a a motion to pass this application along to the planning board, application number 22-34. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
All right, next up on our agenda this evening is application 22-48, which is 5 Nancy Place. Welcome.
Alrighty. Good evening, Board. My name is Donald Majorano from Community Designs and Engineering. On behalf of the applicant, Nick DeSalvo, we are proposing additions and alterations to 5 Nancy Place. The applicants recently purchased a home, and they're looking to make some, modest additions and renovations to the overall house to suit their needs. Basically, a couple months ago, we did receive a zoning variance for the garage addition that you see on the right-hand corner side of the house, and that's with respect to the front yard setback. It sort of encroaches into that front yard. But this project and home is in a dead-end street, a cul-de-sac, so there's really no homes next to it, other than, there's no home to the right, but there is a house to the left, which I believe is 3 Nancy Place. So just to switch over to the elevations and sort of go through the overall idea of the additions and the aesthetics. So the house ultimately will, pretty much read as a Tudor style. That's what the applicants really, their wishes and their desires are, pretty specific on the materials and colors and aesthetics of the home. But there's some transitional elements, I guess, if that makes sense, going on as well. So the existing home, really mostly only the left side of the house remains somewhat, intact. The existing garage will be converted to a playroom, and that garage door will be removed, and there'll be 2 windows that sort of line up with each other. Right now it's sort of offset. Then next to that is a new portico and sort of almost 2-story entryway. And mostly to the right is where we have that 2-story addition and the 1.5-story garage that sort of protrudes, as you can see here on the left side elevation into there, where the, driveway kind of arches in from the street into the new 2-car garage. So just to go over the materials, sort of differently than what exists today, it's going to be a stucco finish. It's sort of like pretty much an off-white color. All of the trim and everything that you see is a dark bronze. The windows are Anderson 400 series windows that are in a dark bronze finish, and that's basically from the manufacturer. The standing seam middle roof is a little bit off from that dark bronze. I think it's an age bronze color, so it's very similar, but just gives a little bit different touch to it so that everything doesn't completely match. The stone is a real thin stone veneer. It's a Concord, well, the name of the stone is Concord, but we're gonna do an overgrout basically on it so that it gives it more of that, again, Tudor and rustic sort of feel to the house. The roof is a asphalt shingle roof, lifetime roof, but it's a sort of their Harvest collection, which is Appalachian Sky, so it has some little, this is easier. Has some different colors and variations to it. You could pass that around. That sort of, again, goes with the whole look and vibe of the house that we're trying to create. Streetscape. Again, with respect to this being on a cul-de-sac, there's not much going on other than the house to the left. Again, most of the homes in that area are much larger than what currently exists, so the home will kind of fit into, that sort of dead-end area as far as, size and overall appearance. Condensers, the new condensers are basically on the right-hand side of that addition as well. I think that's...
Thank you for twisting the garage, so you don't see a garage door. This has much more curb appeal.
Yeah. Really, the site itself, sort of, that's why we kind of went to the variance route because it kind of led to that whole sort of setup, and that was the most ideal
It looks really good that
Yeah.
way.
approach.
Thoughtful.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the materials are quite nice also.
We even like the lights.
Oh,
The
okay.
sconces, the
Yeah, the
other.
sconces are nice.
Okay.
The entry doors are beautiful. Really, really nice. And they
Okay.
really look like they fit the home.
So, I'm just going to go through the due process. I'd like to make a motion to open up application number 22-48 to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here that would like to speak regarding this application? Now is your chance. Don't all rush at the same time, so that being the case, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on application 22-48.
Second.
All in favor, so the public hearing is now closed.
Okay. Any other further comments from the board members regarding this application? I think it's a really, really nice home. Beautiful materials. Just a good package.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice design. Very thoughtful. Good overall presentation, so.
The owners were very hands-on as well with, picking everything out too, so it
As they should.
sometimes makes it easier because
It's obvious. This is
specific to what their likes and
Beautiful
wants.
home on the outside, the layout on the inside looks
Sure.
very, very functional and certainly somewhere I would be happy to come home to every evening, so. We have any sort of final comments from the board? Okay, so that being the case, I would like to make a motion to pass this presentation and application on to the planning board, application number 22-48, located at 5 Nancy Place. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you
Well done.
all. Is yours next also?
Yeah.
Okay. Our next item on the agenda is item 23-10, 16 Greystone Circle. Same architect. Now, I noticed on the, it says new on the new single-family residence, but is it me, or was it
Yeah,
the?
I think in all honesty, there was some unintentional confusion. So you did approve a house on this property previously.
Okay.
It was by the same architect, but now there's a new homeowner that wanted some modifications made, but it hasn't been built.
Okay.
And you really should just evaluate it as a.
As a new thing.
Because to compare back what a previous builder wanted, I think it's better just to
Okay.
present it as new.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to confuse, just present it as new, because yeah, thank you.
done.
It's a new house for a new owner, so,
Perfect.
okay.
Yes, so, again, yeah, 16 Greystone Circle. Pretty much what happened here is the builder sold, it was originally approved, the builder sold the property to a new homeowner that is specifically going to build the house for themselves, so they didn't really want what was previously proposed. They have sort of specific intentions on, again, the aesthetics and all that stuff. So the most important thing is really the site. I mean, so overall, everything on the site, the landscape plan, everything, the, coverage and all that, it stays exactly the same. The footprint of the house stays the same. Only thing really, again, that changed is the aesthetics. But although, the massing of the home is very much similar to what was approved, but again, looking at it as a new home, basically there was a, front porch. All right, let's get off of the existing home. So basically, this new home will have a white brick veneer on the front. The front entry will sort of, be more signified with this arch sort of front portico, but doesn't really extend much out. It's only about 1.5 foot extension towards the front, but it's has a sort of vaulted, ceiling to it to signify again that two-story entryway. The windows are Anderson black windows. They're casement windows. Mostly all of the front, again, is that same style brick. Standing seam metal roof is a charcoal color, along with the asphalt shingle roof is charcoal as well. And then once we go to the sides, we did sort of wrap the brick so that you don't really see just that 4-inch sort of facing. We wrapped the brick along the sides about 1 foot, 1.5 foot, and then the rest of all the sides are white hardy plank siding, lap siding. It's 8-inch with 7-inch exposure. The chimney will be the same brick as the front of the house, and there's also, because of the slope of the property, and there's a deck on the back with, white AZAC, Trex decking, and a black railing to that deck. If there's anything, just streetscape really quick. So the house to the left, this again is in a dead-end cul-de-sac, but the house to the left is a brick, sort of somewhat center hall colonial home, and then to the right is your typical sort of ranch-style home in the area, and that'll sit in the middle of those two.
Is the brick, is it a veneer brick or is it a solid brick?
No, it's a real, actually here. So this is, I don't have the actual brick, but it's a picture of a house that has pretty much, what that brick looks like, but it's a normal 4-inch brick. But it's not your typical white brick. It's, a little off-white grout, but sort of that white brick finish.
Okay, I'm going to keep the dream alive. I'd like to make a motion to open up application 23-10, located at 16 Greystone Circle, to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. We have one gentleman who looks like he's looking to
No?
fall for the doors. So that being the case, I would like to make a motion to close application 23-10.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the public hearing on this application is now closed.
I have a question about the brick.
Sure.
It looks like it's a tumbled brick, it's rounded. Is that what you're going to use?
No, it shouldn't really be.
In this
Yeah, it
illustration,
looks
it kind of
tumbled,
looks
yeah.
tumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a hand molded.
Yeah. It has rounded edges. It's not a real square brick. What do you intend on using? A square brick or a round tumbled one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
more of a square brick.
Okay.
Right.
Because that,
Maybe the grout, because sometimes with the grout, when they get it.
no, but you can
on-
tell that those bricks are rounded.
Okay.
Yeah,
That grout also is like a.
Yeah.
has a
It's too
color to it.
dark.
Yes, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that, it
you
would be
need
like
like
very
an
white
engineered
right.
kind of square,
Almost
sharp edge
that it looks
brick.
like painted white
Yeah.
brick is pretty much the,
Because the sharper brick would be a better choice than.
yes.
Yeah.
Need some tile.
No, yeah.
Did you check this out?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, so the landscape plan is what was previously.
You approved that previously, so,
Approved.
so
Yes,
in the meeting
okay.
notes, I said the fact that it was approved previously was somewhat irrelevant, except for the stormwater management plan and the landscape plan
Yes.
remained the same and had been approved.
So the builder, I guess, hired you, retained you, you designed it initially, and then the builder sold it, or the developer sold it?
Exactly. Now, the
Is it-
new
is it-
homeowners are, he doesn't have anything to do with, or not that it matters.
Has he
but-
retained the builder to build the home, or he's getting it built? by-
No, the new owners have a new builder that's going
Okay.
to, local person as well.
Okay.
I know the new owners personally as well, so that's why I ended up staying with them.
Good,
Made it easy that way.
Good. You're keeping both sides of the equation going. Okay. Sylvia, any comments on your end?
No,
No?
I like it.
Looks good.
So, I would like to make a motion to move this application along. Application number 23-10, located at 16 Greystone Circle. The one caveat, just to reconfirm that the brick is not per the attachment that you handed out, more so per the design and more of an engineered sharp edge brick. Anything else that we didn't address?
No, I think we're
Okay,
good.
that being the case, I'd like to make a motion to move this along to the planning board. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your good, clean presentations. Alrighty, then I'd like to make a motion to end the Town of Eastchester.
Well,
AR
if, before you do that,
Okay,
I'd just like to say something. You know, Margaret, we found out yesterday, actually Jennifer told me
Yes.
on Monday, that after 17 years, right, Margaret?
18 and a half. I need
18 and a half,
credit
wow.
for a year and a half.
After 18 and a half years of penal servitude, Margaret Yulee, our Director of Planning, is retiring. And certainly as somebody who's been on this board for close to the time you've been here, it's been an honor and a privilege to sit alongside you. And I would just like to say thank you very much for all of the hard work and the effort and the time and devotion that you've put in to make the town as good as it is. Certainly our board, as well as the planning board, as well as all the other countless hours that you've invested to make our town as good as it can be. So
Thank you so much.
I would like to wish you, and I'm sure everybody feels the same, the best in your retirement and, you know, the best life that you can live. And certainly from everybody who's not here to be able to say thank you, I'm sure they're sending their well wishes and the best of luck to you and your family.
Thank you so much. And actually, I have been very lucky to work with fantastic board members on all 3 boards. Everybody's so pleasant and fun and professional. So that's been great.
We'll certainly miss you dearly, and certainly very, very large shoes to fill in your absence.
Thank you.
So thank you very much and good luck. God bless.
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I guess this will probably be the last ARB meeting with you, is that correct?
I think so.
As far as-
I'm not quite sure.
Well,
You might have to take that all back.
it's been memorable, whether it's the last or not. We hope it's not, but.
Yeah, and Laura and especially, Laura has been on the
Yes.
board since day one,
Uh-huh.
and I met as a neighbor to an applicant.
That's right, yeah.
He was one of those people out in the audience.
Yeah, exactly. So now, I'm sorry for interjecting, but now I guess you can adjourn the meeting.
Okay,
Make a
yes,
motion,
yes,
please.
no, absolutely. Well worth it. Thank you. Thank you for doing that and for reminding us all to say thank you to Margaret a million times over. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. And now, I would like to make a motion to close the ARB meeting for the town of Eastchester, March 2nd, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all,
Thank you,
and good night.
thank you.
Good night.